Hey, welcome back everybody. This is our fourth explanatory video on verbals on this series of videos, right? And in our previous video we discussed about gerunds and present participles on how they are similar, being that both of these verbals end in ing, and how they are different. They are different on what they do in the sentence, right? They have different roles. Now we are going to talk about past participles, and we are also going to talk about verbal phrases. Now, similarly to present participles, past participles can assume the role of adjectives. When past participles are adjectives, we can assign the ending ado, ido to the adjective in Spanish. This is common, but it's not the only possibility for the meaning of a past participle acting as an adjective in Spanish. And another note on past participles as adjectives is that they usually pair up with present participle adjectives. That is to say, normally we have, for example, the adjective tiring, right? Tiring, that makes you tired, and the pair in the past participle, which is tired, right? Tiring, tired. We have another example, could be boring, bored, interesting, interested. Now, I am pretty sure that you have studied these pairs of adjectives in other subjects, so I'm not gonna be dedicating time to discussing this. Suffice it to say that just because you have an ing adjective, it means that by force you are going to have an ed adjective that corresponds, and the other way around. If you have an ed adjective, it doesn't mean that by force you are going to have an ing equivalent. Now, those are past participles acting as adjectives. Past participles acting as part of passive voice, you are going to identify them because the past participle is going to be accompanied by a form of verb to be, right? The past participle is going to be accompanied by a form of verb to be, and remember that the past participle shifts the focus of the doer of the action to the recipient of the action. And we also have past participles acting as part of perfective forms. When a past participle acts as a part of a perfective form, the past participle is always accompanied by a form of the auxiliary verb have. Remember, it has to be the auxiliary that shows perfectiveness, yes? This perfective aspect. Not just you have, if it, for example, if the verb have takes the meaning of possession, then obviously this is not the auxiliary meaning. Now, see these examples. Jim was given a lot of money for his invention. Jim was given a lot of money for his invention. I ask you, is Jim doing the action of giving? No, somebody else gave. To whom? To Jim. In other words, I have shifted the attention. I have eliminated who did the action, and I am moving to the subject position, the recipient of the action. So I am moving Jim to the beginning, and I am talking about Jim. I want you to see that Jim was given. Check. Verb to be, a form of verb to be, is accompanying the past participle. And I know this is passive voice, right? So I classify given as a given, not giving, given as a past participle, part of passive voice. Next example. Lucas has prepared dinner for Max. Lucas has prepared dinner for Max. Lucas has prepared, has. Here I have the verb have acting as an auxiliary that shows the perfective aspect, right? This is present perfect, yes? So I know that this is a past participle Yes, remember that past participles in Spanish take the ending ado, ido, right? A Jim le fue dado mucho dinero por su invento. Lucas ha preparado. Ado, ido are the endings of past participles in Spanish. The overused fan finally broke down. The overused fan finally broke down. Now I can see this past participle. Excuse me. I can see this past participle referring to fan, modifying fan. So I say this is a past participle used as an adjective. And these guys are, with this I finish the explanation on the different verbals that we have. We have infinitives, gerunds, present participles, and past participles. Infinitives are, or can be, nouns, they can be adjectives, and they can be adverbs. Gerunds are always nouns, only nouns. Present participles can be adjectives, or they can be part of progressive forms. If they are part of progressive forms, they need to be accompanied by a form of verb to be. And past participles can be adjectives, they can be part of passive voice, and they can be part of a perfective form. Now, let's talk about phrases. Let's talk about verbal phrases. You see, a verbal phrase is a group of words that connect directly to one another, right? So, a verbal phrase, in verbal phrases we have infinitive phrases, gerund phrases, yes, present participle phrases, past participle phrases. A verbal phrase has different possibilities to be created. And I would like you to try to pay close attention to what I am going to say right now, because it is very common that we, as students, have a hard time identifying when we have a verbal phrase or a phrase in general. And with this, I am trying to be as clear as possible to explain what a verbal phrase is. So a possibility of a verbal phrase is to have a verbal plus an object. Yes? Remember that the object responds the question what or whom after the verbal. In this particular case, after the infinitive, after the gerund, or even after the present participle. Yes? I don't know if you remember, but it's one of the roles of nouns. Nouns can be objects of infinitives, nouns can be objects of gerunds, and objects of present participles. And for this reason, when I explained that topic, I simply say objects of INGs, because I hadn't explained about verbals. And it would have been a little cruel from me to tell you to classify a noun as object of a present participle or a gerund. So that's one possibility. Another possibility is to have a verbal plus an adverb. Teacher, how is it possible that if you are telling me that a verbal is not a verb, how can you say then that an adverb can be modifying a verbal? Well, first, because remember that infinitives can be adjectives. Second, and I'm not talking about infinitives right now, remember that I'm talking about all verbals. Remember that verbals are infinite verbs. So they have this potential action quality with them. If they have this potential quality with them, so there's a possibility that I can apply an adverb to modify this potential action. This is I have thought about it. I haven't read much about this, but this is the thinking, this is the train of thought that I have gathered to try to explain to myself and to you guys why I can have this construction of a verbal plus an adverb. excluding, of course, what I said before, that definitely an infinitive can be modified by an adverb, because an infinitive can be an adjective. And it can be an adverb, right? And adverbs modify adjectives and adverbs. Another possibility is to have a verbal plus a prepositional phrase. And another possibility is to have a combination of these different possibilities. In other words, I can have a verbal plus an object plus an adverb, or a verbal and an object and a prepositional phrase, or I can have all of them combined to have a verbal plus an object plus an adverb plus a prepositional phrase. Let's see some specific examples. To play. To play what? To play soccer. To play soccer is an infinitive phrase. I can say to play in the stadium. To play in the stadium is an infinitive phrase. It's a prepositional phrase, right? The infinitive plus the prepositional phrase. Or I can say to play soccer in the stadium. Yeah, that's a possibility. Or I could even say to play soccer clumsily in the stadium. So different possibilities. An object, a prepositional phrase, here I have an adverb, and I have a combination of all of these in this case. With a gerund or a present participial phrase. Swinging. Now, why am I classifying both? Because without context. Why am I saying right now gerund or present participial phrases? Because without context, I cannot say that an ing word is a gerund or a present participle. I need context. And remember that that's why we analyze, or our analysis in this subject in grammar always focuses at the level of the sentence. Without enough context, I cannot define if an ing word is a gerund or a present participle. So, swinging. Swinging what? What is the object of swinging? Swinging a bag of oranges. Swinging a bag of oranges is a gerund or a present participial phrase. Or swinging a bag of oranges violently. That's also a gerund or a present participial phrase. Or swinging a bag of oranges near the window. That's also possible. Those would be also that would be also a gerund or a present participial phrase. And finally, we have the cases of past participial phrases. In the case of past participial phrases, I am not going to include an object, okay? Objects, as far as I know, I may be wrong, of course, but I don't think that I can have an object for a past participle. So, tired. Tired plus a prepositional phrase. Tired of running in the park. Past participial phrase. Definitely tired. I am definitely tired. Definitely tired would be a past participial phrase because definitely is modifying tired. Or a combination of both. I am definitely tired of running in the park. Well, not me, right? The dog. The dog is definitely tired of running in the park. And those are phrases, guys. Verbal phrases. We have these different possibilities, right? I can have the verbal plus an object. Remember that the object answers the question what or whom after the verbal. I can have the verbal plus an adverb, or a verbal plus a prepositional phrase, or even a verbal plus a combination of these different possibilities. What you need to remember is that there must be a close connection, a close relation between these words to create a verbal phrase. Okay, guys? I will see you in the next video on the explanation of verbals. Have a good one.